the new iPhone, Lego cars, Xbox's new pricing strategy, all this and more on Tech Yeah, episode 1, coming up right now. Let's go. All right, welcome everybody. This is Tech Yeah podcast, episode 1. Sitting here with my boon companion, Bill.
Tech Yeah.
Tech Yeah, brother. Just want to say hello to everybody. Bill, you going to say hello to everybody?
Yeah, how's it going, everybody? Yeah, welcome to the actual episode number 1.
The actual number 1. Now, if you're listening to this and you haven't heard, there's like a prequel episode that we made.
It's like the origin story.
It's kind of an origin story of Bill, how that came to be. My origin story is actually going to be done as a sequel prequel. So it'll come out afterwards.
Right.
And then we can do an origin story for me.
Yeah,
so
the timeline is going to... We're jumping around the timeline a little bit.
I want there to be some mystery.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
You're shrouded in it.
So, yeah, let's get started. So, as you know, or maybe don't know, our goal here...
They probably don't know because this is episode 1.
Yeah, but I'm going to say in the intro. So, they might know. But, you know, our goal here is to talk tech, talk gaming, kind of tech culture. Me and Bill both are tech professionals, if we do say so ourselves. And so I just want to start off. How you doing, Bill? And what was your week like?
I'm doing well, Tony. Everything's going great. Had a couple of really good streams this week, which was a lot of fun. I actually, on the stream I did last night, this is tech related. So in the flight sim community, you have like the vanilla flight simulator, which has like auto-generated scenery, but you can add, they're called orthos, over the mesh world, and they're satellite images of the area. So I flew to this new airport I'd never been to, and in the middle of the stream, everyone was like, dude, you should get the ortho for this. And I was like, oh, it takes like a while to download. So in the middle of the stream, I stopped everything, shut the simulator down, and downloaded freaking orthos, and just was sitting there. And I had like 25, 30 people watching me download.
I hate downloading during stream. It kills my upload. So my stream gets all like chuggy and gross. Yeah. Tell people what you're streaming, right?
I'm streaming X-Plane 11. So it's a flight simulator. I stream it 2, 3, 4 times a week, kind of preparing for real world flying.
Yeah.
So that's my wheelhouse.
Yeah. I've really been I've had not a bad streaming week, but a light streaming week. Because like lately I've been streaming like a ton of Wreckfest, which is like this kind of off-road driving game / demolition derby game.
Super fun game.
Which is great. It's super great.
Yeah.
But this week I've just been really busy, and I know we had a friend streaming on Tuesday doing a build, and it's always so weird, right? Like you don't want to stream over someone else's stream that's like part of the crew.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree. Yeah, I try to avoid that all the time. Yeah.
So it's really hard to be like, well, your stream's going a little bit long, so I'm just going to get started and try and pull people away if I can,
Yeah, the only caveat to that is like a co-stream, like if you're playing the game at the same time with the person and you're both streaming. But yeah, I'll wait until they're either like wrapping up or, just do it on a different day.
Yeah, he went pretty late, which is great. I mean, it's funny. I sound like I'm complaining, but I was very happy to watch him stream and see his stream have viewers.
Yeah.
But it did limit my streaming time. And then last night I was out. I actually went to... Have you been to Frankensons?
No.
So Frankensons is like down the street. It's like an indoor swap meet, kind of like show floor, kind of trade show floor kind of thing.
Okay. Is it kind of down by Railroad, whatever? Like at the end of...
Yeah, if you take it all the way down.
All the way down, yeah. Okay, I've seen it.
And it's crazy.
It's popping on some nights.
It's open Wednesdays and Saturdays only.
Okay, yeah. So Wednesday,
nights,
if you go home that way, you're screwed because there's a million people.
Wednesday nights, it's popping in there.
Yeah.
And we went to look at Gundams, of course.
Of course.
What am I going to go look at?
Yeah, such a nerd.
Yeah, but it did, seriously. I ended up buying any because they charged too much, but so I didn't really stream last night because we did that, then went to dinner, and I got home at like 9, and it's so hard to get started for me like late, like cause I work in the morning. I want to be in bed by midnight or 1.
Yeah,
and I feel like it just takes a couple hours to really like have a stream like go from stream to like this is popping.
Yeah,
but Yeah, so I've been doing that. I've been playing a lot of Overwatch. There's a new like Diva Mountain Dew skin that came out.
Is it an actually Mountain Dew? It's co-branded.
No, they call it like
it's the in-game like fictional
something cola
drink.
Yeah,
got it. Okay.
Whatever the in-game Diva drink is.
Yes, I've saved the comments. I'm not an Overwatch fan, so
it's okay. I don't think anybody is anymore. I think people just
has that died out a little bit?
I think it's
a
kind
lot of it.
I think it's kind of turned the corner where it's just a thing people do.
I mean, it's the same. Is it the same fan base? Is it the same player base largely as Fortnite? I mean, are the people playing Overwatch now playing Fortnite?
No, I think it's just like Blizzard people.
Okay.
Like World of Warcraft, Diablo, Heroes of the Storm, Overwatch.
Okay.
I compare it a lot in some ways to World of Warcraft, where I feel like people just do it because they have it.
Right.
They don't necessarily love it.
Yeah, you just turn your brain off and you're just kind of like going through the motions almost.
But the other big thing I think that was, I don't know, this is the end of last week, or I don't even know if it was this week, but this week has been one of those weeks.
Yeah.
But that Cyberpunk gameplay came out.
Yes.
That was amazing.
Yeah. Okay. So I have, and I knew you were going to say that.
I put it on the list.
Yeah. Well, I knew you were going to say that it was amazing. I knew you were going to say that because it's the first bullet point. No, I knew you were going to say that you think it's amazing. I saw it and I didn't think it was that amazing. I have a hot take on it. It looked super derivative to me. Like technically it looks really good. The skin models, the god rays, the particle effects all looked good. But because I had heard about the game, but until that gameplay that came out, I didn't know what it was. So when I saw that it was like a first person shooter kind of like action game, I was like, damn.
Did you ever play The Witcher 3?
A little bit. I didn't play it. I have played it, but I didn't go for it.
So I think the thing, like if you haven't played The Witcher 3 and you see that gameplay trailer, it is super derivative. I think the thing that's impressive about it, or the thing that I'm looking forward to, is that The Witcher 3 was super derivative. It's just an action RPG.
Skyrim.
With a small skill tree. And it's third person. Yeah, like Skyrim.
Better looking Skyrim.
It's third person. But yeah, it's a better looking Skyrim. But the thing is, when you played it, you realize like, oh, these decision trees like matter.
Okay.
And the story like matters.
Yeah.
And this gameplay is fluid.
Yeah.
And these interactions and this writing is good.
Yeah.
And then you're like 60 hours into it and you're like, this is great. Like I'm just really into this.
And that's a good point too, because one of my favorite video game franchises ever is Grand Theft Auto, and those are like, I mean, talk about derivative. But like the gameplay is super fluid and the writing and the story is fantastic. So it's probably just, I mean, I looked at it as like a new IP, and where there's been some, like the whole battle royale thing was fresh at the time. I mean, it's not now. So I was kind of hoping for something other than, James Bond type, like GoldenEye-ish type of game where it's just here, Have you
ever played Fallout 3 or 4?
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a lot more like refined Fallout than GoldenEye, right?
Yeah.
I think it's going to be
and GoldenEye is probably a bad example, but you know what I mean, like a first person like where you
shooter.
Yeah, you have, corridor-ish, and it was probably also, the level that they showed in that gameplay footage where it was very corridor, like not God of War. What's the other Microsoft IP? Gears of War. Gears of War. Yeah. Where it's just like, super fast pace. You run behind this thing, you shoot a guy, you reload, you get the little, the first person I got shot indicator.
I promise it won't be a corridor shooter. I promise.
If it's not a corridor shooter, then visually and like voice acting wise, seamless through the cutscenes. Like there wasn't any cutscenes. I think it has huge potential, but my first reaction was like, it's a graphical, like eye porn.
Yeah, as the like game nerdy half of this equation.
Yeah,
I was very impressed by the by technically how it looked, by how many people they were drawing. Like when they go out in the street, and I've heard this a lot, so it's not like this is an original thought, but the amount of unique people in the streets was amazing.
So I didn't even get to that part of the gameplay.
Oh, okay.
I didn't even see that part. I stopped it when they pulled a naked chick out of the tub.
Okay.
I saw boobs. Saw boobs, and I was like, "This is kind of all I need to see. I am going to get this."
Cyber boobs, though. It was strangely unsexy.
It was 100% unsexy.
Yeah, it was like.
But I was like, "There's full-on nipples in a video game. Sign me up."
Yeah,
I'm in.
You really should have played more of The Witcher 3. There's unicorn sex. You don't have sex with a unicorn. You have sex on a unicorn.
Oh.
Yeah.
Thank you for clarifying.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
There's a distinct difference between those two.
There's a very distinct difference.
Yeah.
And it's important to realize that difference. Right? Like, I think that's a big deal. Okay. So now that portion of the show is finished, the motion sensor lights are about to go off.
Oh,
and it is.
I like the mood. That's okay.
It's really dark in here.
Yeah.
All right, we'll just go from here. I can't read the news, but that's okay. So the next portion of the show, we're going to jump into the news. And I think the big story, and especially from where we stand, is the release of the RTX from NVIDIA.
Yeah, the 20 series graphics cards.
20 series graphics cards with ray tracing technologies.
Yeah. All right, so a quick disclaimer here. Tony and I work for a well-known tech online retailer.
That we do.
So the opinions expressed here are that of our own and do not reflect the opinions or thoughts of any other persons or companies
or businesses,
implied or otherwise. So when anyone gives a disclaimer like that, some shit talking is about to ensue.
We're about to smash on it.
So we're gonna talk some shit about some graphics cards.
I got some takes.
I got some takes too.
You go. I want to hear your takes.
Okay,
let's hear you first.
Okay, so my take on it is I love it. I think that hardware wise, I mean, like I can't remember who said it, but that the processing power will quadruple every 2 years.
That was Copernicus.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the Copernicus's theorem. Yeah.
So that obviously is really not realistic. So the hardware wise is, you can only pack in so many, the silicon can only take you so far. Arguably. I mean, I think we're going to keep getting smaller, but it's not going to be at the same rate. Like it has to slow down a little bit. And I think we saw that with the gap between the 11 series the 10 series and the 20 series. It's been 2.5 years. But I really like in this launch initially that they, instead of saying we've got, X number % more teraflops and this much more VRAM and this many more computations per second, they went with an actual graphical benefit to the consumer that they were able to show in a demo. Like it's really hard to show in a demo on a new GPU release like this. Hey, we have, look at these benchmark results and look at how many frames per second more we have from last year. But they actually showed you a tangible, like here is ray tracing off, here is ray tracing on. Look at the reflections of the, tank explosion in the puddles on the ground. And that I thought was one, a gamer focused release. And, they didn't really talk about AI or self-driving cars or cryptocurrency. This is a car generation, at least initially at launch, that's focused on gamers, which I think is really, really cool. The other side of that is this launch to me meant absolutely nothing in terms of my games, like my gaming.
I think it's a bamboozle and a half. I think an epic bamboozle is incoming. So real quick, the rundown. All right, so the 2080 Ti, we've got September 20th, $1,200. The 2080 Ti. We'll just do founders right now because that's what's coming. Reference boards should be cheaper. I think you actually have to go touch it now. I don't think it'll motion back on. The 2080 founders non-Ti is $800. References are $100 cheaper. and the 2070 Founders is $600. Okay,
High. Those are high prices.
They're very high, and I think what really happened here, and what they're not telling you, is that they've basically gotten rid of the third tier, right? The 1080 had 3 tiers. You had your 1080, your 1080 Ti, and your Titan, right?
Yeah.
Now instead of a Titan, you have a Ti.
Right.
And instead of a Ti, you have a 2080, right? A
right.
non-upgraded 2080, right?
Yeah.
Where the regular 1080 class has basically been eliminated from the equation.
Sure.
Right? And it just seems so clear to me that this has been put in place to ensure that the 2080 never has to benchmark against the 1080 Ti, right? They're trying to realign these cards because of fear of processing speed, that they want to keep the 2080 and the 1080 Ti out of the same conversations. They want the 2080 to bench against the original 1080 so they can show the gains they want to show, right? You see it in the graphs they've already released where it's like, oh, the 2080 has two times gamerness over the 1080. Like, these kind of unsubstantiated numbers.
Right.
And I think what's going to happen is we're going to get benchmarks, and NVIDIA is going to insist that these partners show them the 2080 versus the 1080 instead of the 2080 versus the 1080 Ti, which is the real matchup we should be looking at. And people are going to feel let down with the actual performance for price. I think that's really going to be the outcome of this. And, my only takeaway is this is get a 1080 while they're cheap, while people are trying to upgrade.
Well, that's what I was just going to say, is that for the next year or two at least, the 2080 or the 20 series GPU release is really just grab your 10 series that you've always wanted. Just in full disclosure, Tony and I, even though we do work at a large online tech retailer, our GPUs are very modest.
I have a 970.
I have a 1060 6 gig. So we're not sitting in a room full of GPUs that we can be, testing all the time. So I am not a frames per, I'm not an FPS snob. And those of you that are, and that are excited for, the next generation or have a 1080 Ti right now and, upgraded from a 1080, you're probably yelling at us and stop, because this is episode 1, so pace yourselves.
Yeah, yell at us.
There's going to be plenty more opportunities to smash angry comments. But I don't care about FPS. As long as it's playable to me, it doesn't bother me at all if I'm at 70 versus 55. I'm not going to notice.
I do care about FPS, even with my modest card.
Yeah.
I have a 144 hertz monitor. I have G-Sync. I have 2K display. I do.
Yeah, it's a nice monitor.
I do like the fidelity of it, but graphic cards are very expensive.
They're really expensive.
And like Bill said, we do not have access to any graphics card we want to pull off the shelf and use, obviously.
Yeah.
So I do care, and that's kind of the disappointment to me in the way I feel like these are rolling out. I could very well be completely wrong. This thing could come out and just crush, and I just don't see that being the reality. And I get it. RTX, it looks cool, the ray tracing, it looks neat. But Hairworks looked neat, Ansel looked like NVIDIA has always found a way to bundle these feature sets in their cards or in their chipsets that don't really find a home. Even like Shadowplay. Shadowplay was very exciting for capturing short clips. But anyone that really wants to capture their gameplays, they've bought an Elgato, right? They're not capturing through Shadowplay.
Right. Yeah. And you're totally right. If you're listening to this anytime after, September 2018, you're like, what are these idiots talking about? So, once we learn more about these cards, our opinions will be likely be changing. But again, I know I'm in marketing, so I know that this is all marketing speak, but if it truly is the difference between drawing a line in Photoshop made out of pixels versus drawing a line in Illustrator using vector math, and if it's that big of a fundamental change in how they're drawing light rays in video games to unload, like the actual individual pixel computations and making it just math lines, then I think it could be revolutionary in like how the graphics are being pushed out versus just cramming more little silicon switches into a chip. And that's kind of what I mean, where it's like, I don't know how much hardware can improve one year over the next versus we figured out a different way to kind of make this math happen.
Yeah, I mean, my last word on kind of that subject is I hope so too.
Like Vulkan, like what we hope Vulkan will be. Like you're not changing graphics, but you're changing the way the math is done, so you're able to do more with the same hardware.
Yeah, I hope so too. I hope it is a future thing, but even if it is, the 2080 is not the generation you're going to experience that on.
No.
Right? We're talking about in 2 generations where these 2080s are affordable and widely available because, people can still have to make games that support older cards for a very long time.
For a very long time. Yeah, I mean, knock on wood, the cryptocurrency mining bubble has burst. So when this announcement was made, the first thing I thought about was keep an eye on 1070 Ti prices.
I don't know. I was checking I was checking my Robinhood today. Bitcoin was at like $7,000.
Yeah.
So I want to be careful. Okay. Second news story. What is my second news story? Okay. Xbox Game Pass. I thought this was super interesting. You might not be that interested in this.
I'm a console guy. I'm a recent convert from consoles. So
have you seen the story yet?
No, I haven't seen the story yet.
Okay. I'm going to actually read this paragraph. It's from Game Crate.
Yep.
Written by Justin Wu.
Okay.
Microsoft recently announced they're launching the Xbox All Access program. This program charges users a monthly fee and provides an Xbox One S for $21.99 a month or an Xbox One X for $34.99 a month, along with a 2-year subscription to Xbox Game Pass and Xbox Live Gold. After 2 years, you get to keep the Xbox One console, and the services move to a month-to-month subscription. Keep in mind, if you're signing for the program, you can't cancel or return the Xbox or the subscription. You're on the hook for 2 years. Microsoft promises more than 100 free games through Xbox One Game Pass, including Xbox One exclusives the day they're released, yada, yada, yada. Okay?
Yeah.
So if you're looking at now like a phone lease style process to owning a console.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you this right now, if I wanted an Xbox One X, that's a really good deal.
That's a really good deal.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing I thought about after you read that was next week Sony will announce the PlayStation 4 for $20.99 and the PlayStation 4 Plus for $33.99.
I hope they do. I would like to upgrade to a Pro. Like
100%. 100%.
I found this really
fascinating.
Fascinating, right?
Absolutely fascinating. And it's like necessity is the mother of all invention. I mean, they are hurting this cycle, and they needed to come up with something to get people into an Xbox. And holy crap, that's genius.
Yeah, Xbox has. I am not an Xbox fan. I have my issues with Xbox. I still hold resentment because I had a 360 get hacked, and by some some South American kids that bought FIFA, and Xbox refused. They only gave me half my money back.
Ugh.
And they locked my Xbox Live account for like 6 months.
Ugh.
And like all your games are tied to that, and like your saves, right?
Yeah.
So I was so mad. And they kept like extending me month by month. Like, oh, here's a free month. Use it on a different account. Here's a free month. Use it on a different account. And it drove me nuts. So like ever since then, I've been like, I'm never touching a fucking Xbox again, right? But Philip Spencer has been doing crazy things with Xbox lately, and I feel like they're positioning themselves for the next generation to be so strong, right? If the next generation launches and people just got to give them $30 a month to get everything, people are going to do that in droves.
Well, it depends. So I look at it as another way. Potentially, we're assuming we're coming towards the tail end of this generation. So they're ramping up. Microsoft knows what the next gen Xbox is. And they know what the numbers are. They know how far behind they are. If they can convert enough people over to an Xbox One X or X or whatever, from like maybe early adopter PS4 guys that, want to have both and like, oh, that's a sweet deal. Like I'll get an Xbox too. I kind of wanted to play Forza or whatever. Just like drug deals, like the first one's free.
Yeah.
They're gonna hook you on their IP, and they're gonna give you, they're gonna know who these monthly, fee guys are, and they're gonna give them, try Forza Horizon for 3 months
them with the game.
Oh,
you get them. You get Xbox One Game Pass, so every Xbox exclusive.
There you go.
Is included.
Yeah, there you go.
In the price.
They want you to play their IP.
Yeah, that's what I mean. This is like,
yeah,
it's so genius. It's
really
so
good. It's really good.
Proactive.
Because now you can't, like, there's this like sales marketing tactic that I know Tony, but it's like people don't want to give up what they already have. They don't want to add things that they don't have. And it's like, the old example is if you have a car and you have it fully loaded and you tell the guy the price and you say, okay, well, what do you want to remove to get it down to your price? More often than not, they will always be above their original asking price because they're like, I want the leather seats. Like, don't take that away. But if you give the guy a base car and say, okay, now add items up to, your original price, they'll always be under it. Like, they're less willing to add stuff than they are willing to take away things. So if you give somebody Forza Horizon and then the next Forza Horizon comes in on the next console, they're going to be like, oh man, well, I have Forza Horizon now. I love it. Like, I don't want to not be able to play it.
Like, I just think about, like, let's say Forza is a good example, right? I liked Forza a lot on 360.
Love it.
Great game.
Love it.
If like the new Forza Horizon's coming out, it's going to have massively online, right? I don't know if you saw the thing at
seasons,
E3, right?
and all,
Seasons and all that, right? It comes out, you don't have an Xbox, but you're excited to play it, and you don't want to play on your PC, or you don't have a PC, right?
I've actually, side note, I've driven one of the cars that's in Forza, not like
I'm sure
the one that was scanned.
Oh, like the Forza car?
Actual car that they used in Forza.
Oh, that's cool. But if I told you $22, you can play today, I'd be like, okay, like where do how many times do I have to sign my names? Because I'll sign in as many as you need.
Yeah.
Right?
It's freaking genius.
It's genius.
I'm contemplating
it
now.
Yeah, everyone is, right?
Yeah.
I mean, everyone is thinking, like, do I need an Xbox? Like,
yeah. What games should I play?
If there wasn't such, if their games weren't so available on PC,
yeah, right,
I would be all over
this. Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
I mean, that's the only reason I own a PS4, really, is because you can't get those games on PC.
Right.
Okay, I think that's enough to say.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. Yeah, I'm glad you picked that story because that's very interesting.
No, I believe
your move, Sony.
I believe you got a story for me here.
I got a couple.
Okay,
so I'll go with the kind of this one's kind of interesting. So I saw this morning, and it was a picture on Instagram of a Bugatti Chiron.
I saw this on Facebook.
Yeah, dude, it was cool. And I looked at, it was during my like morning Instagram scrolling, and I see these two Bugattis going down Volkswagen's high-speed test track, which they usually don't take pictures there unless they're releasing a car. So it was this weird-looking Bugatti Chiron, and it looked like it was wrapped with something. So my initial thought was, here's a camouflaged car. It's the next. It's a Bugatti Chiron SS or something.
Yeah.
So I went right by it. Then I saw this other story, and it was a video. I can't remember where I saw it, but it was on the Bugatti Chiron Lego car. And I was like, that's kind of weird. So I opened it up, and I'm sure you guys know, Lego has, other than $800 Star Wars special edition like Millennium Falcons that are never in stock. They also have their Connects line. I think it's Connects, right?
Yeah,
and they've got like a handful of cars. So they've, like you can get a Porsche GT2 RS. There's like a couple F1 cars, and they're like really detailed versions of cars. So what Lego did is partnered with Bugatti to make a 1-to-1 scale Lego version of the Bugatti car. And it's the most if you can find the video online, I highly recommend checking. It's like a 1.5 minute little clip of them assembling this car.
If you're not like watching this video, if you haven't seen this video right now, this is a drivable Lego car.
Yeah, it has active aero. So the Bugatti, from the Veyron and the Chiron, it has active aero. So a spoiler pops up at high speed, then lowers itself down again when it's in like super high speed mode. So it has active aero. It has Lego dials. So the speedometer and tach actually move and are just Lego pieces. Steering wheel. All of this is made out of Lego, and it's powered by 339 different it's 339 different types of Lego pieces, but it has let me find here in my notes 24 motors. So it's got like 5 horsepower or something stupid, but it actually is using Lego electric motors.
Yeah, they said it was like 90 some odd percent Lego parts.
It's insane. Yeah, they probably have, and I didn't like study the video, but they probably have some like metal framework just to keep the thing together.
It looks like there was some metal in the motor mount system too,
but primarily made out of Lego, and I thought that was freaking awesome.
I wonder what the transmission looks like. It's got to be
got to be crazy.
It's got to be gigantic to transfer power from those little Lego motors to get a
thing is
spinning.
Just insane. And it's 3,300 pounds and 1-to-1 scale. So like it was trippy because this morning I saw it and I was like, that's kind of a weird looking wrap. And then this afternoon I was like, that wasn't a wrap. That was a car made out of freaking Lego driving down their test track.
It looks like the future.
It is the future.
It looks like the future.
that's renewable energy right there in the form of Lego. So yeah, I thought that'd be kind of a fun thing to talk about.
That is pretty fun.
I like it when two completely different companies join together. Some promotional thing. I mean, it's totally transparent, but it's pretty interesting.
All right, what else you got for me, Bill?
Okay, so this I wanted to talk about. Apple announced its event, whatever they call that damn thing.
Like they call it what, the Keynote?
Yeah, Apple Keynote or something. So they've set the date, September 12th. Next big event with the new iPhone coming out. So we'll get to see what the next iPhone is. But the reason that I wanted to talk about this, they've been in. I mean, they're always in the freaking news, and rightly so because they're a massive company. But it's interesting from a business standpoint, and I'll tell you why. They are the first company to be valued at $1 trillion. So it's the first $1 trillion company ever. Maybe like a year and a half ago, I think Amazon was on track for that. And I don't think anyone would be surprised at that, which is why they were kind of like Amazon is going to be, the first $1 trillion company. So when Apple hit that $1 trillion mark, it was kind of a big deal because they weren't under the radar, but it was just like it was surprising given the momentum that Amazon has. And the reason I find it particularly interesting because when you look at all of the big companies right now, you've got Amazon, you've got Google, you've got Facebook, the properties that they own. You've got Snap Inc., you've got Uber, you've got Lyft. All of these companies, all of the main big hot companies, don't sell anything tangible. They're all services. They're all subscription based. They're all advertising based. And then Apple, their revenue is coming from hardware. And when you think about how the staggering amounts of iPhones that company is moving right now. It's unbelievable. I mean, most of you are probably listening to us on an iPhone right now. And Tony has a Huawei.
Wow, that's a Huawei.
And I've got a Samsung. So we're not
fanboys.
We're
by
not
any means.
iPhone fanboys, but I don't know how you could not be a fan of Apple. You could not be into their ecosystem. You could not be into the iPhone. You could be totally against it, in fact. But from being an American and being into tech and being interested in business, it is what they've been able to do is absolutely astounding.
Yeah, any distaste I have for Apple, Google also shares. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like
yeah.
And you forgot Microsoft, but it's another
Microsoft,
software company, right?
Yeah,
I mean, they sell some hardware, but it's minimal.
Yeah, and again, Apple does have a share of their revenue is software based. They do sell advertising. They've got iTunes. They've got Apple Music, and they've got other things going on besides the hardware. But I mean, it's an overwhelming percentage of their revenue is from hardware. And looking at the iPhone 10, I mean, that was $1,000 telephone. It's absolutely insane, and how many of you that bought that is just staggering. To me.
I'm. I think what's really interesting to me about this, and I thought about this when they hit the $1 billion mark too, is I feel like these companies, Google and Apple especially, right? Because I feel like a lot of the other companies that are that big, like Microsoft and Amazon, have already kind of faced it. They're gonna have to face Congress at some point, right?
Yeah.
Amazon kind of caught this with sales tax was a big issue for them,
Mm-hmm.
which did kind of slow their progress. I mean, their name became so big that they kind of had to pay the piper, you know? And I feel like Google and Apple have found a way to stay offshore long enough to kind of avoid
100%.
and Google's actually getting it right now. Actually,
Google's getting hit right now. Yeah. I mean, I've followed this aspect of it, and I'm glad you brought that up, because it's working in the tech industry, we try to stay away from this kind of stuff because it can get a little bit messy and it gets political, and then it really gets messy.
Yeah, I mean, like, non-politically, no sides here.
No, definitely not from like a content, side left or right, but just like politically from a, like, what are they doing? Like, I mean, Zuckerberg, that whole thing with him in front of Congress, is crazy and hilarious. And again, the opinions that our opinions are not not shared by any other person or entity, but like, what a jackass.
Yeah.
Like, just such a lying little creep. Like, sorry, Senator, I have to get back to you with that. Like, how many of those senators actually got back to him with
He's
that?
a robot.
Yeah. I'll have my team get back to you on that. I don't know, Senator.
And, and I don't care if it's Barack Obama or Donald Trump or whatever, right? I feel like, as I think all Americans would probably agree, like, we need to call these companies to task a bit on kind of their ability to kind of shuck their financial responsibility to the country, and I think that there's a lot of scheming kind of behind the scenes on how these companies stay out of this. You know what I mean? It's a strategy, and I understand that.
Yeah, it's PR. Yeah, I mean, the Zuckerberg thing with the privacy and I'm blanking on the names because it was long enough ago that I've kind of blocked the details out. But basically, he gets called in front of Congress to testify about a company that was getting information from people's friends.
Yeah, what were they called?
There was Fusion GPS was one of the companies, and one of the lead people at Fusion GPS was like, that wasn't a loophole. That was a sold feature.
Yeah, this was
thousands of apps.
We made you sign up for this.
Yeah.
You said okay.
Thousands of apps use that technology. So to think that Apple and Google are not doing the same thing, if you don't think that, you're stupid.
Yeah, you're crazy.
You're crazy. You're a mentally insane person. And the crazy part about it is we're kind of knowingly letting them into our lives.
And we're subsidizing their business. That's what I mean. Like, from financially subsidizing their business, inviting them into our homes, and then agreeing to give them this information. Right. It's like, at some point, we have to say, like, we're too dumb to be allowed. Like, we need to take intervention and manage the situation.
And Google just kind of announced, or was made to admit that even with location turned off on your phone, they still track it. Like, that's a really scary thing. But then think about your daily interaction with, and just using Google as an example. And I mean, Facebook too. Like, Facebook used to be a place where you could, look up old friends from high school, or, try to find the name of that chick you want to hook up with in the dorms.
Oh, yeah.
Or, whatever. I mean, it was essentially a date, essentially a dating website.
Yeah, look up the person that you're supposed to go on a date, your friend's friend.
Yeah,
it's
just like a stalking platform.
Yeah.
But it was like, I mean, it was designed, on the innocent side, as a way to connect to old friends and keep up with people and all that kind of stuff. And Google, they're a search engine. Like, the beginning of their life was, do you have a question for the internet? We'll go find it for you.
What picture you want us to find?
Yeah. So, the fact that we're willing participants in their massive amounts of data gathering is what makes their product so good, and which makes it so convenient for us. Google had their famous mission statement, "Do no evil," which is a really subjective thing to say. Like, what does that mean? And then their objective number 2 was, and I'm paraphrasing here, but it was basically like to give people access to information in a clear, easy, and usable way. Like, that is another subjective thing. Like, it sounds flowery and nice, and like.
And objective 3 was get that money.
Yeah, and objective 3, the unwritten one that they really small print, is just get paid.
Get paid.
It's like the underpants gnomes, just profit.
Don't get high on your own supply. Get paid. Rule
Step
3,
profit. So it's like, it's super crazy dynamic of, like, what they're doing is largely effed up. How they're doing it is largely effed up in implementation, and also the fact that they're trying to hide it, probably, and the fact that no one really cares.
Yeah, no one cares.
Nobody gives a shit.
Yeah.
I really don't care. I have location services on because, you know what? It's convenient for me to get the little notification that, hey, your commute home is 4 minutes longer.
I just don't care because I think the gross things they know about me are less gross than the gross things they know about other people. Like, they're gross.
Yeah.
But they're like,
I can't be as bad as that.
Yeah,
guy.
like, I've searched for some weird stuff in my day, but it's not like illegal stuff, or,
right.
Or like.
I'm pretty, as much as I'm in my head, like, terrified at my own thoughts, it's not as bad as what I imagine most people are.
Yeah, it's not the worst thoughts.
Yeah, like, most of you people listening are great people. Like, fantastic, smart, intelligent, fun.
I think, even people that search terrible things, I think, are good people.
Like, I would want to be friends with most of you listening right now. But there are some of you listening who are crazy, and stay away from me. You know who you are, and leave me alone. But your search history is probably way messier than mine. So if Google knows what I'm searching, so be it.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. If it makes my life more convenient, which is kind of the goal of all this crap, and which is why we're so soft as
like
as a people.
We've abandoned everything.
I want to be more comfortable than I am currently. So, these services are helping me do that. I can sit on my couch now. I don't have to reach down to my phone to find out how tall Emma Stone is. I just ask, hey, Google, how tall is Emma Stone? And it tells me. What the hell is that?
What a sheep.
Yeah. And I see that little thing light up in the middle of a conversation in the corner of my eye.
It knows.
Like, I know it's listening. And, it's like, are you okay with that or are you not? Because they are listening. They know everything. And if they're not, you still need to assume that that is the case.
Yeah, and they don't care. And I think that's the thing.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I want to say this is the thing that makes me feel better, but it's like,
you're just a person. You're just a number.
They don't care. Like,
you're
what I mean?
Stat.
Like, yeah, if you wanted to search something, not even disgusting, but something that you feel like didn't fit your values one time because you got on a whim and decided to.
Yeah.
Like, that's not a thing. Like that's never.
Right.
They're never going to use that against you.
No,
You know what I
and
mean?
it's just it's like, hey, I wonder if that thing fits in there.
Yeah.
And you go online and you look it up, and you're now males between 25 and 40 search this term 25% of the time.
Yeah.
You're like, that's all you are.
Yeah, you're a sellable marketing data point for them.
Yeah.
But and I understand the concerns. Like I understand where you fear it could get dangerous, right? Because you could single people out, right?
Yes, you can absolutely. We're kind of making light of it, like who cares? But there are some serious consequences and things that we're going to have to face if we continue to go down this road, which we are.
Yeah, but I think we're really approaching a future where, Joe Rogan always kind of like states this, right? That we're approaching a future where privacy won't be a thing. Right?
I think we're already there.
I think once we realize we have to abandon this anonymity, like on the internet, and it's like, if you've like visited a prostitute or done cocaine or you know what I mean, or whatever your things are, you don't want to tell people about, like. That those things are going to be available to people to know. You know what I mean? And it's like, you got a DUI or whatever your thing is. Like those things are going to be public and they're going to be instantly searchable by people that don't know you and randomly meet you.
And you might be on the that's a good thing side of the story, or that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, maybe it will make people more accountable.
Yeah. But that's the future we're approaching.
But maybe we're going to become, and again, our opinions are not shared by. I don't know if you've heard this story, but China has a social standing ranking.
Oh yeah,
they score you off of your social media activity, what grades you get, what things you buy at the store, what TV you watch, and they actually have a number that they give you, and it determines like what kind of interest rates you get, if you can buy a car, it's like, it is over the top.
Okay, so if that score is out of 100, what's the best score to get? Like, where would you want to be? You don't want to be too high.
Yeah, I don't want to make it look like I cooked the books.
Right, and you want to live life.
Yeah.
So you want to be high.
Yeah, I'm going to go high 80s. I feel like if I'm in the high 80s, I'm still getting the best of the programs available, but I'm also having my discrete fun.
I want to be 69.
69,
Just so I can like what they're like, what's your score?
Yeah, like
69. Yeah.
Like okay.
Yeah, all right. Oh, you're cool,
good.
Man.
All right,
you're cool, man. Whatever.
So you did all that stuff just to lower your score. All right,
that's what I'm gonna tell you.
Commitment. I like it. Okay.
That's always gonna be my excuse, right? I had to get the score to 69, bro.
I started that bar fight just for the number.
You know me.
Oh my god. So that was a tangent coming from the first $1 trillion company to Big Brother's watching you
to 69 social score.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean that's the road. I mean that's where we could be heading if we don't curtail it somehow.
So you're saying Apple's having a keynote?
Apple's having a keynote, and the date of that is September. What is it? 13th,
12th, I think, is what you said.
Yeah, something. So it's sometime in September 2018.
Get these papers out of here.
Yeah.
All right, Bill. I think we're getting to the head of this thing. Where can people find you?
You can
if they want to hear more about Mr. Bill.
If you want to see all of my personal information.
No, not that. I mean, like, do you have a Twitter?
Yes,
or a
yeah.
Twitch?
It's. I'll spell it out because it can be kind of confusing if it's not spelled out. So it's BILL 4LE, the number 4LE. So my last name is Forelli, and it's phonetically 4LE. So all my like social media crap is all Bill 4LE. But don't follow me on Twitter because I don't tweet.
But that's your Twitch.
But that's my Twitch thing. Yeah. So if you want to learn how to fly airplanes and air traffic control and hang out with a bunch of aviation nerds, you can go to Bill 4LE 4 Lima Echo. So nerdy. Dude.
All right. So if you want to find me, my Twitch and my Twitter is Toneface Killa, just like Ghostface Killa, but with TONE at the beginning. TONEFACEKILLA. With an H at the end. And that's Twitch and Twitter. I'm always kind of general gaming. I do a lot of Gundam building.
Which is interesting. If you guys, even if you're not interested in it, it's worth checking out at least once to see that. I mean, we did a build earlier this week, a PC build, and I refer to it as like adult Legos.
Oh yeah,
but this is even more adult Legos.
I don't even know if it's for adults, but yeah, I think you got to be at least 14. It says on the box, so
it's like one of those adult coloring books.
Sort of, yeah. I can see that.
It's just like it's something that you're like maybe not supposed to do. Finger quotes.
I could never do them as a kid. I never had the patience. But
it's like a relaxing thing to do.
I kind of bought into it when I was younger. And I could never get into it when I was a kid, and now I find it very relaxing, and they make for like good centerpieces for great stream chats.
Yeah, but yeah, if you are like an actual video game nerd, like a true video game nerd, definitely check out Tony, because he does the like cross section of actual video game nerd
endorsement.
It's better than my endorsement. If you're an aviation nerd and have no idea what a mouse and keyboard is for,
or if you want to talk to you and your lovely wife.
That's true. Yeah, she's on there every once in a while.
You guys are such a handsome couple. It's so fun to hang out and chit chat with you guys.
Yeah, it is pretty funny. Yeah, she's like, now she went from like reluctantly being on stream to like, hey, do you need any help?
It's shameful you make her wear gunners, though. It's so shameful.
It's like, you're gonna wear these aviators and this leather jacket, and you're gonna sit there with the fan blowing and your scarf flapping in the wind.
Okay. Well, I think that's it for us today. Thank you so much for listening. Love you guys. We're out.
That was a good first episode of Tech. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was a pretty good time.
Yeah. We'll see you in episode 2, guys.
All right. See you soon. Bye.